Hi students, I'm going to just review unit rate and slope and constant of proportionality one more time before you do a couple more practice problems and a quiz for lesson or module 3. So remember, a rate is a comparison of two quantities that have different units. And we talked about miles per hour. We talked about money, how much it costs per ounce. So things like that. There's different units. We're talking miles and hours or money and ounces. There's a lot of other things out there that are unit rates. Just keep that in mind. And then a unit rate is a rate in which the second quantity is 1 unit. So in this example, again, we're talking about hours. So the second quantity, hours, we want to get it down to 1 hour, and that will show us the unit rate. And they give us an example, walking 10 miles for every 5 hours. So they have this 10 miles for every 5 hours. We reduce that and it equals every 2 miles. That you'll cover 2 miles in 1 hour, which is 2 miles per hour, and this is how you would write that. And then they show us the slope of the graph that represents unit rate. The slope of the graph represents the unit rate. So when we see a graph of a situation, we know the slope of that is telling us something. So it's telling us for every 1 hour, here's our 1 hour mark, you go up to, we will go 2 miles according to this graph. And you can find the slope by literally counting from one point to the other. The rise, 1, 2, over the run, which is 1. So it would be 2 over 1. Or we can subtract. We have another point, 10 over 5. So we would go, when we go 5 hours, we would go 10 miles. So we have a point, this is 0.510, and this is 0.00. And those are the points they're using to take the difference, the change in y over the change in x. Okay, and that will tell us slope. It's the same as rise over run. 10 minus 0 is 10, 5 minus 0 is 5. You reduce, you get 2, or 2 over 1. And then, so 2 over 1 might be the slope, and then they say write the slope as a unit rate. Well, that's 2 miles per hour. So let's do a couple more of these. So they say find the slope of the graph and the unit rate. Well, we want to find the exact point of where this falls on the graph. So here's 1, and so we see that it takes us 5 hours, and we Scott is hiking 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this point is 5, 3, and we also have 0.00, which is our origin. Okay, so we would do the change in y, which is 3 minus 0, over the change in x, which is 5 minus 0, and we would get 3 over 5. So the slope is rise over run, which is 3/5. And the unit rate, that means Scott is hiking 3/5 miles in 1 hour. And we can look at that by going, where is 3/5 of where is 1 hour? So we know 1 hour is here. So we're saying he hikes that in 1 hour. So here's 1 hour. And if this were broken up into fifths, the time, that is about 3/5 of 1 mile. 1 mile would be here, this line. Okay, and so that's what the unit rate is telling us about this graph. And now Rebecca hiking. So it looks like her slope is a lot steeper. That means she's making much better time than Scott is making. It's taking Scott longer to walk the same distance. So let's find an exact point here. It looks like this one is an exact point there. And it means when she walks 1 hour, she is going 2 miles. Okay, so the rise is 1, 2 over the run, which is 1. So the rise over run would be 2 over 1. And again, we can do that by finding the exact point, which is, I'm sorry, it's 1, 2. And this is the origin, which is 0, 0. And so we could take the difference in y's. The difference in y's would be 2 minus 0. And the difference in x's would be 1 minus 0. And we would get 2 over 1. So the slope is 2 over 1. The unit rate then is 2 miles every 1 hour. Easy as pie. All right, so let's look at our next one. The next couple examples we've got here. We're going to be analyzing some information here. So it says information about rates can be presented in different ways. For example, a graph and a table can represent or can present the same information in different formats. And we learned a little bit about that yesterday when we were looking at some examples. And today in your homework, you're going to be looking at graphs and tables. So they want us to use the graph to complete exercises 1 through 3. So the top part is going to be the graph, the bottom part is going to be the table. And the graph is talking about rainfall on Monday. So the rain fell for several hours and it was tracked. And so along these 20 hours, here's the number of inches the rain fell. And the question is, how many inches of rain fell in 10 hours? So we're going to come across here to 10. We're going to count up, and I believe these are by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is point 10, 8. And that's telling us that 8 inches of rain fell in 10 hours. Well, if that's the case, how many inches of rain fell in 1 hour? Well, we can take the difference, and we always know this point 0, 0 is 1. So there's 2 ways of doing it. We can count from here and go rise over run. If we did that, we would go rise 1 or 2, 4, 6, 8 over run, which would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we would have 8 over 10 for rise over run. I'm going to put rise over run. Or we would reduce it by 2. That would be 4 over 5, which means in 1 hour, 4/5 of an inch fell. Okay, so the other way to do it would be to take your difference in x's and y's. So this would be 0.2. This is 0.1. The y from 0.2 is 8. The y from 0.1 is 0. The x from 0.2 is 10. The x from 0.2 is 0, or 0.1 is 0. So we subtract, we get 8 over 10. We reduce, we get 4 over 5, which is 4/5. So in 1 hour, 4/5 of an inch fell. And now they want to know, what is the slope of the graph? The slope of the graph is 4 over 5. And remember, slope is represented by the m. And the unit rate would be 4/5 of an inch every hour. So 4/5 of an inch per, that slash means per hour. So that was Monday. And that was just looking at the graph. Tuesday, they gave us information about rainfall, but it's in a table. So they're asking us how many inches of rain fell in 4 hours. Well, we can see the time here is 4 and 12 inches fell. All right. And if you don't know if this is inches, feet, or whatever, look at your table. It gives you all of the information. And be careful if they tell you that time is in minutes and they're asking you something in hours. That means you need to convert it. Now they're going to ask us how many inches of rain fell in 1 hour. Well, this one is a lot clearer because for 1 hour, we know that 3 inches of rain fell. And it's right here. It's telling you 1 hour, 3 inches. So now they want to know, well, what is the unit rate? The unit rate is 3 inches of rain fell every hour. 3 inches per hour. What would be the slope of this graph? So if we use this data and we graphed it, what would be the slope? And then explain how you know. Well, I know the slope would be 3/1 because, I'm going to use BC for because, slope equals unit rate. And we know the unit rate is 3. So 3 inches over 1 hour is going to be the same as the slope. All right, so that was just a brief overview of what we did yesterday. So you can move on and do your couple of practice problems for homework. And I will see you next week in class.